Hello and welcome to CLEA'S World. I am Clea, and today I would like to share with you more information I've received from the 25th dimension during my last BQH hypnosis session. Today's video will focus on a dream that I had. Now, I have dreams about what's going on in the background all the time, but I did think this dream was very compelling, and I definitely wanted to share with you. Definitely wanted to ask the 25th what they thought about this, what it actually meant, and I'm glad I did. So the reason I am sharing these dreams, which is something that I didn't necessarily do the entire time I've been connecting with the 25th, is because the 25th has explained, which is very obvious to me in hindsight, that dreams are a way for us to be consciously aware of what we are doing, the work we are doing in the background at the higher self level. So why is this happening? So a lot of us, when we come into this game, this has happened to me as well, we don't want to remember our dreams because that's the reality of what our higher self does. And so we just want to believe that everything that's real is right here, 3D level, and that's all there is to it. However, more and more, especially recently, a lot of us have started remembering our dreams because it is important for us to know that this is not all there is. This reality is not even real. We want to believe that, of course, is part of the game. But since we are taking it down, we are getting ready to embrace the idea that this is very much holographic, especially for those of us who are going to New Earth, but really for anyone who's left here at this point. There are only about 50 million essences left here at this point. It is important the work we are doing now is transitional work, and the way the 25th talks of it, it says that we are learning to become Neo. And what is Neo? Neo is a person, a 3D person, who realized that there is so much more going on than what he thought was real. That's all there is to it, right? Just very simply in those simple terms. And so now we're doing the same thing. Dreams are, for me, and really for everybody, the equivalent of the sessions I'm doing, hypnosis sessions I'm doing, or the information some people might get when they do meditation or whatever way they have, or even plant medicine or whatever way they found to connect with their higher self and to consciously realize what the higher self is doing in the background. And so the reason I share these dreams, because this is the way that not only my higher self lets me know what's going on and confirms a lot of times what the 25th has told us, but it's also a way to train me, because in dreams, and the 25th has spoken about this, in dreams, we get to experience the emotions as if this is real, it's happening to us, which it is really. And so this is important because many times in hypnotic state, or we do plant medicine or whatnot, we don't have the emotions. So we're not aware of the emotional response that we have to what's happening in the background. Whereas when it comes to dreams, we are there. It's like a movie that we're living through. And so we do know how we react to the movie, and the way we react to the scenes we see in our dreams is really what's going on underneath the surface at an emotional level for us. And this is important because right now we're all very emotional, because what we're doing is, one, unheard of. We've never done this before. And also it's very hard for us as humans to accept. All right, I'm gonna jump in here and start reading. But before I do, as always, I wanna thank you for subscribing, liking, and commenting on this video. I really want to hear specifically if you have any dreams that you would like me to ask about, or anything that's been happening to you towards the same lines as this dream, for example, what the 25th is talking about. I am very interested, even more interested than usual, in dreams at this time because of this reason, because it really is telling us information that is important. All right, here we go. So this is Lorrayne asking the question. Okay, time for Clea's dream. And I know she's been getting dreams every night. So she says, I dreamed the school was over for my daughter. She had been going to this very good school, but it had closed and we had to find another one. So we were looking, and I saw this less structured school that might work. It wasn't as good or like the first one, but I thought it might do. But while I was trying to decide, we had to prepare to go to this wedding. And so we were more focused on prepared for that than on finding a new school, because the wedding was coming up soon and I needed to get a dress and decide if I should go or not. It was a super swanky wedding where people wore ball gowns. I saw a girl with red hair who had bought a gorgeous light green floor-length gown with straps and small green flowers that looked very expensive. Someone said she had bought it at this Italian designer store. I didn't know the designer, but I wasn't happy about having to spend that kind of money to go to this wedding. I thought maybe I shouldn't go, because if I did, I would have to buy a very expensive gown or risk looking poor, which I didn't want to do, even though I wasn't making the kind of money I used to make before. When something like this wouldn't have fazed me. I could still afford a gown like that, but I would only use it once. And I was more responsible with money these days. Then I went on this train. It was like a moving corridor where we sat, but it was open air. With my daughter was much younger than she is. But I got upset with her about something silly. I think she had made a mess with some chocolate. I didn't want to get mad at her, but I did. What does this dream mean? It seems to me that this is to say that while I'm looking for a school for my daughter, we're still going to leave for New Earth soon, which actually holds more of my focus right now. But why do I feel like I'm not prepared for it or can't be going to this event the way I want to, looking my best, and I might even decide not to go because of this? Now, I want to premise here before I read, the reason for my question is because every time I have dreamt of so many weddings in the past few weeks, I can't even tell you. I mean, at any rate, every time I dream of a wedding is the event, basically the 25th, as already explained, a length that weddings are event, and so is the takedown that I'm dreaming of. In this particular case, my concern was, why do I feel like I'm not ready for the takedown? And there was more to this than just the event being New Earth. And so this is why this particular interpretation of the dream was even more interesting to me than usual, because now we have a twist here. So it wasn't necessarily about the takedown itself, but about what is entailed. And again, this applies to all of us who are still here. So I do want to share this. So here we go. Me. Yes, so this dream speaks to a lot of the things that we've discussed actually in last week's session. And they're referring to session 11, the session that was released before this one, this is session 12. But also some of the things we discussed with you in regards to your dream just now. And they're referring to Lorrayne's dream, which is described in the video prior to this one. So it's the very last video before this one. So we are talking, a lot of the undercurrent to this dream is the fact that things are over, things are finished. Everything that is 3D is finished. So there is her daughter's schooling, her daughter's school. We already said the reason we believe it would be a good idea for Clea to find a new school is not because we're worried about she needs to prepare for eventually getting into high school or into college or whatever. It is simply because it would be good for her daughter to be around other people. And it would be good for Clea to have some time to herself, not for any other reason. So really the time for schooling has finished per se. Also, same story with the wedding. She's looking at something that is very 3D. And so she's thinking to herself when she wrote the question, if the wedding is the event and they mean the takedown, then am I not participating? Do I feel like I'm not ready? So there are two things to this. One, she's looking at it as we've discussed previously, and she's looking at people who are doing very well in 3D. She's looking at herself because she's been doing a life review. She's looking at herself saying, I'm not making the same amount of money I was before. I don't have the same lifestyle as before. What is wrong with me? Am I a failure? And they were laughing. She's not a failure. She's looking at herself as an outsider. Yes, because she is. At this point, we're all outsiders. We are the only ones here. Everybody else is gone. Everybody else has already moved on. So we are the ones that are left behind. And we already said this would be very dramatic if we could see it at a visual level. Instead, we're still trying to consciously protect ourselves from this knowledge, even though we feel it. We feel it when we go out. We see it. But so there is that. So she's again thinking in terms of, I'm not part of this world anymore. No, she isn't. And they were laughing. But not because, again, she's failed at a 3D level, but because these people that represent in the dream 3D reality, they're gone. 3D reality is no longer available. And in fact, these people would have gone to 3D chambers. She's not going there. This is a very, very different choice. Not better and not worse, but it's a very different choice. They want to stay in the game. She wants out of the game. She still wants to stay in the matrix. She's not saying, I'm going back to the 25th, but she wants out of the game. And she wants to know that she is all powerful. She wants to know that she can manifest things instantly. All the things that we say we want here, but we don't. We haven't wanted to, really. Or we haven't wanted to know that we were doing because we've already been manifesting. And so there is that. But there is also the part about, we've said, where there is a lot of has been. Again, in the life review, where you're telling yourself, this looks like the past. It looks like I don't have that anymore. And we don't. There is nothing left here. We are living in a shell. None of this is real. We know that none of this is real. We're just keeping it propped up by our sweat and tears at this point, just to finish what we set ourselves to do so we can move on. This is already yesterday. We're basically living in a cardboard space is where we're living in. And then what about the situation with the corridor, the moving corridor and her daughter? Really, she's looking again at her daughter doing silly things because she's a child. In fact, she was even younger in the dream than what she is now. And the fact that she, Clea, cannot, she wants to be more lighthearted about things and be like, it's what it is, but she can't help herself because she's still in resistance and she is very emotional about what's going on. Just like you were emotional in the dream, trying to do all these things, Lorrayne, trying to get to everything. And you're like, what is going on? This is not me. This is not how I am. Why am I feeling this? Why am I even seeing these things? And Claire is having the same situation. And we said many of us are having the same emotional situation because we are emotionally trying to manage and handle a process that's very overwhelming. We manage it little by little because we wouldn't be able to handle it. And we already said before, there are many people here that very likely say, oh, I wish this was exposed, that was exposed. We could not even handle the fact that we're moving on. I mean, God forbid some of these things should be exposed. And we're dealing with this little by little. And still it's still so overwhelming for us. So this is what we are dealing with. And again, Clea's higher self is bringing it up for the same reason your higher self is bringing it up, which is we are now, again, we call it becoming Neo. What does becoming Neo mean? Is that we are consciously, because Neo was a 3D person who is now learning, even surprised by his own powers, learning what powers he has. We are doing the same thing. We are learning little by little that we can handle certain truths. We can handle reality a little bit better. Of course, we already said we know one drop in the ocean of what's been going on here. We would not be able to handle that, but we are learning to handle things. We are learning that even though this is over, and it is very much over, it's going to be okay. Now, this is interesting because Claire has been telling herself, oh, I'm okay with this. Let's move on. It's funny how emotional I used to be. Because if you go back, Lorrayne, you probably remember, we all talked about the fact that we went through a period of mourning, of grieving for this planet. But are we over it? What these dreams are showing you is that even though we've shielded ourselves, say, okay, we're already mourned, now we're just focused. Yes, we are focused on New Earth, but we're still not happy about this. We already said we will be all quite melancholic at minimum. I mean, some people will be very, very sad. The ones that have not done this conscious work will be very, very sad when we find, when the planet is gone. And really, the ones that have chosen to shield themselves, or the people going to other planets, because even the ones going with the aliens, they'll know the planet is gone. There will be huge mourning, huge grieving all around. So what is happening now is that these dreams are coming up for us who have decided we want to see them now. We don't want to be faced with it all at once when we go to New Earth. Because again, we know things intellectually, but we don't know them. We haven't accepted them emotionally. So for those of us who feel ready to handle certain things to some degree, we are having these dreams come up. Our higher self is helping us start to look at certain things. And this is what this dream means. It's not about having a feeling of inadequacy. It's not about the fact that Clea has failed and that's why she cannot reach. If Clea were to stay here, she would find her way back into 3D. She knows she can change reality. She would be perfectly okay. We already said the revaluation will go through and many of us would be millionaires. But that's not what it's about. It's not about finances. It's not about being able to do things. It's about the fact that certain things don't even exist anymore. They are outside of our grasp. So what is being interpreted as it's outside of my grasp because somehow I am less now, in reality is outside of our grasp because they're gone. They're not real anymore. These things are not happening anymore. We are living in an empty world. It's almost like you're in a movie set and there's just the front. Looks like houses, but they're really being propped up. It's just a facade, and they're being propped up with poles holding them up. And this is what it is. And it's very hard. And again, this is the only way we can make this information present to ourselves, known to ourselves at a conscious level, is through these dreams, because they become much more emotional. They stir emotion much more than just perhaps us talking about it, where we filter through our brains. And all of a sudden we're capable of switching off and saying, oh yeah, it's okay. When it comes up through our dreams, it has a way of really getting to the bottom of things so that we can actually process them. And that's what we are doing. Our higher self wants us to know that we are processing the stuff in the background. And he wants us to know it is happening so that we can start accepting it at a 3D level or at a conscious level. I hope you enjoyed this. I very much appreciated the interpretation of the 25th dimension, and I'm glad I asked this question. And so I hope that it helped you as much as it helped me wrap my mind, my conscious mind, around the sheer extent of what's happening. And we don't even know a fraction of what is really happening out there. But at least we are willing to do the work. And that's all it takes. It's the intention, as always. We are in charge of everything. So thank you so much, as always, for watching. I hope you leave me a comment below to let me know if this resonates or not, or if you've had any dreams that are interesting. I always love to read about those. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.